There's something you need to understand, and it might sting, but it could save your heart, your time, and your future. Some women don't love you, they just love the idea of being loved. And the moment your love stops being convenient for them, they start showing you signs. They don't scream, they whisper, they don't leave, they drain you slowly. And it's not always about cheating. No, it's more subtle than that. It's in her words, the things she says, casually, sarcastically, jokingly. But those words carry daggers. If you're not listening, you'll miss the quiet red flags. But if you are listening, you'll hear the truth she's trying to tell you without ever saying, "I don't respect you." This video isn't about hate. It's about clarity, because too many men stay hoping she'll change. Too many ignore what's right in front of them. Too many rewrite her words in their head, trying to justify staying in a relationship where they've already been emotionally evicted. So if she says these 5 things not once, not in anger, but as patterns, you need to pack your self-worth and leave. You don't need revenge, you don't need closure, you need peace, you need freedom, and most of all, you need the strength to walk away when love no longer lies there. There's a reason that line hits like a slap. Even when it's whispered with a smile, you're too sensitive. It sounds like nothing like casual feedback, like someone just commenting on your wiring. But what she's really doing is dismissing your pain, minimizing your humanity, and every time you let it slide, a piece of you gets quieter, a piece of you shuts down. See, men are taught to be stoic, to man up, to carry the burden and never let it show. So when you do let it show, when you take the risk of saying, "Hey, that hurt me," or "That didn't feel good," and she fires back with, "You're too sensitive," what she's really saying is, "I don't have space for your emotions." And maybe she never did, and if you don't notice it the first time, you'll notice the pattern. You start to shrink. In conversations, you walk on eggshells, you think twice before opening your mouth, because you don't want to be that guy who always overacts. You tell yourself, "Maybe I am too much." But let's be real, it's not that you're too sensitive, it's that she's emotionally unavailable, or worse, she's emotionally unsafe. Because here's the truth. Sensitivity isn't weakness, it's data, it's information. It means you're self-aware, it means you feel things deeply, and when a woman loves you truly, stop chasing, start anchoring loves you. She'll want to understand that part of you. She'll see your sensitivity not as a flaw, but as a sign of depth, a sign of presence, a sign of someone who actually gives a damn. But if she uses your sensitivity as a weapon, if she rolls her eyes, if she mocks it, if she shuts it down, she's telling you she doesn't want to connect on that level. She just wants control. She wants comfort without accountability, affection without emotional cost. So what do most men do? They shut down, they go silent, they fix themselves, thinking if they could just be tougher, less emotional, less affected, maybe then she'd respect them. But you don't win love by amputating your emotional truth. You just lose yourself trying to keep someone who was never trying to understand you in the first place. Let me be very clear with you. A woman who dismisses your emotions is not your safe space. She is not your partner. She is your trigger. And if you stay too long, you'll internalize that voice. You'll hear, "You're too sensitive," every time you want to speak up, even when she's long gone. That's how emotional damage works. It doesn't just hurt, it echoes. So what do? You walk, not with drama, not with insults, but with self-respect. You walk with the quiet dignity of a man who's decided that his emotional world is sacred, that he deserves to be understood, not managed, that he's not asking for too much. He's asking the wrong person because the right woman. She won't use your heart against you. She won't punish your vulnerability. She'll meet it. She'll honor it. She'll respect the hell out of the fact that you feel, because she'll know that means you care, and caring real deep. Consistent caring is the strongest damn thing a man can do in a world that keeps telling him not to. So next time someone calls you too sensitive, don't defend yourself. Don't argue. Just look at who's saying it. Then ask yourself one question. Why am I letting someone who doesn't value my heart have access to it? You already know the answer. There's a tone, and then there's the truth underneath the tone. When a woman looks you in the eye, arms crossed, voice cold, and says, "I don't need you," don't rush to respond. Pause, because what she's saying might not be about empowerment. It might be about control. It might be about reminding you that you're replaceable, and that my friend is where the danger lies, let's talk about context. If she's saying it from a place of healed independence, that she chooses you not out of desperation, but because she genuinely values your presence, that's beautiful. That's what real love is. Not dependency, not neediness, but freedom, choosing commitment, power, choosing connection. That's healthy, but that's not what we're talking about here. We're talking about the weaponized version, the she craves emotional safety, not apologies, kind, that gets dropped mid-argument like a landmine, the kind that's meant to remind you that your worth is conditional, that if you don't act right, speak right, earn right, love her just the way she wants, she'll be fine without you. It's a power move, a subtle humiliation. And let me be blunt, love doesn't flex like that, see? You can always tell the difference between strength and spite. One builds connection, the other builds fear. And when a woman uses "I don't need you" as a threat, she's not being strong, she's being cold, emotionally, withholding. She's baiting you to chase her validation like a drug, to prove your value, to shrink yourself in order to feel enough in her presence again. It starts small. She says it once, maybe during a fight, you ignore it, brush it off, but then she says it again with a smirk during a quiet moment. And this time it lands. You feel small, unwanted, disposable, and instead of walking away, you lean in harder. You try to prove you're worth needing. You offer more. You sacrifice more. You lose your edge, your boundaries, your pride. And that's the trap, because now you're no longer a partner. You're a performer. You're trying to audition for someone who's already told you she doesn't see your presence as necessary. And you'd be shocked how many men are living in that performance, buying gifts, apologizing for things they didn't do, walking on eggshells, all to stay needed in the life of a woman who's already emotionally clocked out, let me say. This loud, for the men who've forgotten your worth, is not defined by how much someone needs you. Your worth is defined by how much you value yourself, even when you're alone. Because when a woman truly respects you, she won't need to diminish your role to prove her independence. She'll celebrate the fact that she doesn't need you and still chooses you every day. And if she doesn't, if she keeps using "I don't need you" like a grenade in every disagreement, you need to hear it for what it really is, a warning. Not a warning that you need to try harder, a warning that she's already halfway out the door and pulling your dignity with her on the way. You're not here to beg for belonging. You're not here to be tolerated. You're here to be valued, to be seen, to be respected as the man. You are not the one you're trying to become just to fit her version of enough. So when she says, "I don't need you," don't flinch, don't chase, just step back and ask yourself, do I want to build a future with someone who sees me as optional? Because love is never about needing someone, but it's always about respecting them, those 5 words. They don't just sting, they sink deep into your spine, into your gut, into that place where your self-respect used to live before you started bending over backwards for a woman who weaponizes your manhood every time she doesn't be unavailable to chaos her way. Let's talk about what this really means. Because when a woman tells you you're not a real man, she's not giving you feedback, she's not expressing pain, she's not asking for connection, she's issuing a verdict, a judgment, and worse, she's declaring that you, in all your efforts, all your strength, all your presence, have failed some arbitrary test she's created in her mind. And let me tell you something that might shock you. She doesn't even know what a real man is. See, we live in a world that praises emotional strength on paper, but punishes it in practice. So when a man stands up for himself, sets a boundary, cries, speaks gently, or dares to show his soul, suddenly he's too soft. But when he works long hours, bottles up his pain, stays silent through disrespect, and sacrifices himself for her comfort, suddenly he's a provider, a real man, and it's sick. When she says, "You're not a real man," what she really means is, you're not the version of masculinity that I can manipulate. It's not about you being enough, it's about you not being controllable, because the moment you stop reacting, stop pleading, stop proving, she starts losing her grip on the power dynamic, and instead of working on herself, she attacks the easiest target, your identity, the damage. It's brutal. You start questioning everything. You replay arguments in your head. You wonder, Maybe I should have raised my voice. Maybe I should have hit the gym harder. Maybe if I just earned more, spoke less, apologized faster. But the more you do, the more it slips, because it was never about your actions. It was about her control. A woman who uses your masculinity as a weapon will never love you in your wholeness. She only loves the version of you that stays quiet, stays compliant, stays masculine, enough to pay the bills, but not soft enough to say, "That hurt me." And if you let her keep cutting you down like this, you won't just lose the relationship. You'll lose yourself. Listen, brother, being a real man isn't about dominance. It's not about status. It's not about how many zeros are in your account or how stone cold you can stay during an argument. It's about integrity, emotional regulation, direction, the ability to make your own choices, not just follow someone else's expectations to earn love. A real man is a man who knows who he is and refuses to let anyone define him by their pain. So when she spits those words, "You're not a real man," don't absorb it, observe it, see it for what it is. A projection, a lash out, a test she's not even conscious of, and the only correct response is silence. Walk away from the bait. Let her sit in the echo of her own disrespect, because the moment you try to prove you're a real man, you've already lost the battle, and the man who needs to prove his masculinity to a woman who can't see it, that's not strength, that's surrender, and you were never born to surrender. You don't need her definition, you need your damn standard. Back when identity over attention, someone says, "Maybe we should take a break." It feels like limbo. It's not a breakup, not a commitment, just space, breathing room. But here's the reality. 90% of the time or break isn't about clarity. It's about escape. It's about testing what life feels like without you, while still keeping the door open in case no one better shows up. Let's be real. When someone truly loves you, they don't want a break. They want resolution. They want honesty. They want the truth, even if it's messy. But a break, that's indecision in disguise. It's a trap. It's what people say when they don't have the courage to say, "I'm done." But they also don't want to risk losing you completely. It's selfish. Master self-care. And if you're a good man, if you're loyal, emotionally invested, consistent, this phrase hits like a punch to the ribs. You start spiraling. What did I do wrong? Am I too much, too little? Maybe I need to give her time. And so you agree to the break, thinking you're being mature, thinking you're showing her love. But here's what usually happens while you're waiting, reflecting, hoping she's already moved on, emotionally, mentally, sometimes even physically. That break becomes her safety net while she explores the single life without the guilt. You're the placeholder. While she auditions other futures, you see people who want to work things out. They don't ask for space, they ask for effort, for change, for honest conversations. But when someone's already emotionally checked out, they say, "Let's take a break," so they can soften the blow, delay the confrontation, and keep you on standby just in case their new freedom doesn't feel as good as they hoped. And what do most men do during that break? They become hyper-available. They check in, they wait, they beg for answers. They try harder, thinking the more loyal they are, the more likely she is to come back. But you're not showing love at that point, you're showing fear. Fear of losing her, fear of being alone, fear that this break is really just a gentle goodbye. And deep down you already know it is. If you ever find yourself in that position, you need to ask one brutal, honest question. Why would I stay on pause for someone who's already decided to press play on a life without me? Because here's the truth. No woman who truly sees your worth wants a break. She wants connection. She wants to fix what's broken, not put the whole thing in storage. If she's asking for a break, she's already picturing life on the other side. She just doesn't want the shame of walking away. So she packages her exit in polite language and makes it your job to suffer silently in the waiting room. Maybe you're not a placeholder. You are a man with value, and you should be loved with certainty, not confusion. So the next time a woman says, "Maybe we should take a break," don't argue, don't beg, don't promise to change. Just say, "Let's not take a break, let's take a stand. If you're unsure, then we're done." I don't do control your emotional reactions. Halfway, love. And then you walk, not because you don't care, but because you care about yourself enough not to be someone's emotional backup plan. Let me ask you something. Have you ever been in a relationship where it felt like she was doing you a favor by staying where every argument ended with her reminding you what she tolerates about you, where her love came with a price tag and you were always just a little short on credit. You're lucky I'm with you. That phrase might sound flirty at first, teasing, maybe even playful, but hear it enough times and it stops being a joke. It becomes a warning, a statement that quietly says, I'm better than you, and if you forget that, I'll leave. It's emotional blackmail dressed up like confidence. And if you're not grounded in your worth, you'll start believing her. You'll start shrinking, doubting yourself. You'll look in the mirror and only see what she criticizes: your flaws, your past, your mistakes. You'll forget your strength. You'll forget your value, because when someone keeps reminding you that you're lucky they stayed, they're also saying, you weren't enough to deserve this love. I just gave it anyway. It's a power play, a tactic designed to keep you working, chasing, apologizing, to make sure you never get too comfortable, to make sure you're always proving why she should stay. That's not love. That's emotional manipulation, and it's exhausting. Real love doesn't keep score. It doesn't dangle itself over your head like a prize you haven't earned yet. It's not conditional. It doesn't demand performance to be maintained. If she truly respected you, she wouldn't make you feel like a peasant in your own kingdom. She wouldn't remind you of what you lack. She'd celebrate what you bring. But the moment she makes you feel like you should be grateful she hasn't left, that's when you need to wake up. Because any relationship that makes you feel less is a relationship that is subtracting from your identity. And over time, that subtraction becomes a silence. You stop speaking your mind, you stop being yourself, you stop expecting to be seen. And when that happens, you're not in a relationship, you're in a contract, an unspoken agreement where she gets to hold superiority and you get to hold your tongue. Now, let me say this loud and clear: you are not lucky to have someone who doesn't respect you. You're not lucky to be in a relationship where your worth is constantly questioned. Love is not a lottery, it's a mutual choice. And if someone makes you feel like they're doing you a favor by choosing you, they've already stopped choosing you. Gratitude is beautiful, humility is powerful, but never mistake those for don't seek completion and become whole. Submission. Never let someone trick you into thinking you should beg to be chosen. You're not lucky to be with her. She's not lucky to be with you. You're both supposed to be blessed to have found each other. That's how love works. So if you're hearing this line, if she throws it at you in every fight, if she brings it up when you try to express your needs, if she weaponizes her presence, don't argue, don't defend yourself. Just know this: she doesn't see you, she sees her reflection and wants you to see it too. She wants admiration, not connection. And if you stay, you'll keep feeding her ego while starving your soul. So what do? You walk, not in rage, in revelation. Because once you realize that you were never supposed to earn her, you were supposed to build with her. That's when you reclaim your worth. And you never let anyone make you feel like love is a charity case. Again, let me tell you something that might hurt before it heals. If you keep ignoring what a woman is showing you with her words, her actions, her silence, you're not being loyal, you're being delusional. And it's not love that's keeping you there, it's fear. Fear of being alone, fear of starting over, fear that maybe this is as good as it gets, but it's not. You are not here to be tolerated. You are not here to be talked down, to dismissed, controlled, or managed like a child. You are not here to perform. For someone who only claps when you bleed for her comfort, you are here to be seen, to be respected, to be loved the way you love, fully, freely, and without fear. And if she's making you feel small, if she's turning your masculinity into a burden, if you're waking up every day wondering what version of yourself will finally be enough for her brother, it's time to leave, not to hurt her, not to punish her, but to save yourself. Because the longer you stay in a place where you're not respected, the harder it becomes to recognize what real love feels like when it finally comes. Don't let disrespect become your normal. Don't let your silence be mistaken for peace. And don't, final message, stop begging for respect. Let anyone convince you that leaving means you failed. Sometimes walking away is the most powerful thing a man can do. So if you felt this message, if it stirred something in you, if it made you uncomfortable in the best way, don't just sit with it, move. Hit that like button if you've ever ignored a red flag drop, a comment if you're finally ready to choose yourself. Share this with another man who's forgetting his value, and subscribe, because this is your space. Now a space where we speak truth, where we heal, where we grow. You are not broken. You are not too emotional. You are not too much. You're just finally waking up.